Today, we're going to talk about how to use your candidates to be able to go out and get clients. Now, candidates are your stock. Think of them as your merchandise. In recruitment, we're in the business of selling people ethically, right? We find people who are a fit for a particular company and we make the introduction. That's your stock. That's your gold. That's the value that you're providing to a potential client. If you have someone who's incredible, and after a while, you'll get to know who fits that criteria for your particular niche. When you have that particular person, it's absolutely imperative that you get them out to market as quickly and as efficiently as possible. What that's going to allow you to do is it's going to get doors open for you, and it's going to be one stone, two birds. All right? And I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. So let's say you're having a conversation with a particular candidate, and candidates are, generally speaking, much easier to get, much easier to acquire than going out and trying to find clients. So you go out and try and find a candidate first. You have conversations with people. That's what we do in recruitment. We have conversations. It's not just transactional, hey, can I get you a job? Or I've got this particular role. No, we're in the business of helping people. We want to build relationships that are going to be long lasting, that are going to be mutually beneficial for both the candidate and for you as the recruiter. We don't want to be that kind of recruiter that goes out and just dishes out job descriptions, and that's building essentially a bad place for all recruiters. All right, that's what gives recruiters a bad name. You want to go there from a place of genuineness and being able to have conversations with people with the view of actually helping them. Even if you don't have a job, you're having a conversation with a potential candidate. Let's say you're in the tech space, right? As we are. Now, some of the qualities of an incredible candidate are: they come from an incredible company, a really good and well-known company. They've got a good number of years of experience. So we're not talking about juniors, for example. Nothing wrong against juniors, but they're not as valuable within the labor market. And more than that, clients can actually go out and try and find them themselves. They're not that difficult to find. But someone with 5, let's say, to 7, 8 years of experience, works at a really good company, let's say a Google, let's say an Amazon. On top of that, their salary expectations are decent, okay? So they're not looking for crazy salaries. They can start very quickly, okay? So let's say they've got a 2-week notice period. In the UK, that's actually very short. In the US, that's standard. But in the UK, 2 weeks is fantastic. Or let's say they've moved on and they can start immediately, right? You get them interviews, you get them a job offer. In the next few days, they can start the following week. That's absolutely gold, because someone who can start sooner is someone who can bring back that return on investment for the client. So great company, good years of experience. They can start quite quickly, so their notice is relatively short, and their salary expectations are very reasonable within their geography, within their experience, and within that market. Right? There's more to it than that, but those are some of the big things that you look for. So let's say you've gone out, you're having conversations with a particular candidate, and they tick all of those criteria, or they tick most of that criteria. Fantastic. You've got gold in your hands. You've got someone there that you can take out. Think of it this way. You're shopping, you're in Dubai Mall, or you're in Westfields in Stratford in London, and you're walking by, minding your own business, and someone comes up to you and says, hey, would you like a bit of cake, right? That's a taster. That cake better be damn good, because based on that little taster, you're going to make a decision on whether or not you go and you buy the full thing and spend good money on it or not. Think of that as your candidate. So you need to make that taster fantastic. And if they tick that criteria, then they meet that goal. So you've got your person there. Now, let's say they tick all that criteria. Next thing is you want to find companies that would love that person. Because just because that person is from Google, or that person is from Amazon, or they can start very quickly, doesn't mean that everyone is going to want them. A particular client may want them, but their expectations may be too high for a company outside of that big tech, Amazon, Facebook type company. So you need to be able to go out, even though you've got a great person there, but you need to go out and find the right match for them. All right. Another example I like to use is just to kind of make this, even simpler to understand. Let's say you're trying to matchmake for your friends, right? You might have someone who, I don't know, let's say is very career driven. They're a lawyer, right? They're 40 years old. They've got a lot going for them, right? That person, for most people, let's say they're male, that person would be quite attractive, right? But it doesn't mean they're going to be attractive for everyone. Another person, a woman, might find that person maybe a bit too career driven. They want someone who's a bit more laid back, someone they can go out and have dinner with every other day, as opposed to someone who's going to finish work at 11 p.m. every day. So just because they're great on paper doesn't mean that they're going to be a match for everyone. Same thing for your candidate and same thing for your clients. So you go out and you find within your market who's going to be a potential fit for that particular person. So let's just go and reiterate some of those things which for most markets would be a big green flag, let's say. So one of the first things is salary expectations. So let's say reasonable salary expectations, okay? So no matter how good a person is, if they want too much money, they're not going to be a fit. They're going to price themselves out of the market. Number two, short notice period. Okay? Short notice period. Someone who can start relatively quickly. If they've got a reasonable salary expectation, but they need 3 months to be able to start, most companies are not really going to want that, unless it's a very senior role, which, that's the norm, in executive search and so on. Number three, great career experience, okay? That can be the company they've worked for, that can be the number of years of experience that they have. So junior people for most industries aren't going to be the best kind of person that you can put your foot forward with, because they are people that can, they can be found relatively easily, and especially if they're grads, they're out of university, they'll usually just want any job that they can get. Nothing wrong with that, but they're not the most difficult people to find, and most clients wouldn't really pay top dollar for someone like that. So these three things, there are more, and I know I mentioned more, like their geography, if they're based in a good place, they can come into the office. I know now we're living in a remote world, but a lot of clients do prefer at least some sort of hybrid, 1, 2, 3 days a week in the office. If someone's happy to do that, then it does, fortunately or unfortunately, right, it does bring them up the pile, because a lot of clients, just from conversations that we have with them, do actually prefer that. So let's say you've got two candidates who are exactly the same, and one of them is happy to go into the office more than the other, that person's going to get the job. It's just how it works, right? So these are some of the main criteria that you look for. Now, let's say you've got a person like that. What do? Well, you go and find, first of all, the companies that would potentially like that person. Second, you need to find the key decision makers. Who is the right person to reach out to? If you're reaching out to a big company, you're going to have thousands of people that you can potentially reach out to. You need to find the right individual. Is it the director of talent acquisition? Is it the chief technology officer? Is it the CEO? All of that stuff is something that you need to be able to figure out. Once you've found the right person to reach out to, how do you find their correct email address? What's the right approach? What do you say to them? All of that is going to be dependent on your industry. But as part of what we teach at Agencyfy, we help you with all of that so that you have someone who's incredible and that you're able to take forward to a particular company, but you're also able to do it in a professional way, in a way that's actually going to get you responses. And the beautiful thing about this is you're able to, most of the time, if they're able to have a conversation with you, they like that individual. And if they like them, they're probably going to have an interview. So you can hit two birds with one stone. What do I mean by that? You've got a candidate, straight into interviews, straight into a placement if they like them, as opposed to going out and finding jobs and then going out and finding candidates for them. Does that make sense? So that's where the two birds one stone analogy comes in. You've got a candidate, you're going in, and all in one, you've got a client, and you just made yourself a deal. Okay? So these are some of the things that you look for when you've got a great candidate, and this is going to help you go out and achieve get more customers, be able to find more clients out there because you've got exactly what they're looking for. Okay. Now, if you found this useful, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe. I'll be sharing many more tips over the next coming weeks and months within recruitment, so stay tuned.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. Before you go, let me quickly tell you why you should subscribe. If you're serious about making money in recruitment, whether you're a business owner trying to scale, a recruiter looking for independence, or an entrepreneur, or a salesperson exploring the industry, this channel is built for you. I don't just share theory, I give you practical guides, step-by-step tutorials, and real insights from my experience. I started from scratch, spent years figuring this stuff out on my own, and now I'm sharing everything I've learned. The wins, the mistakes, and the systems that actually work. This is real, on-the-ground knowledge from someone currently running multiple recruitment agencies, managing teams, and building systems that scale. If that sounds like something you want to be a part of, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. I post new videos like this every week, and I also share more insights on my Instagram, things you won't find in any formal degree. So go ahead, check out the next video, and let's keep growing.